criticize. This is part of his life, my life, our jobs, and now he's a player from us, and I'm really happy with that.
So we did mention Harvey as well, just obviously deadline day, Harvey.
Another positive thing, I think, not only Harvey, but if I look at Luis Diaz, how he hit the ground running at Bayern Munich is a big compliment for our performance staff and the people that work in this building. So every time a player leaves, Tyler Morton does really well at Olympique Lyon. So that tells you how we bring players to other clubs, and Harvey is in a very good place, going to a very nice club with Aston Villa. I think it's in the interest of everyone. He didn't get the playing time he probably deserved for the quality player he is, and he conducted himself always so well. So it wasn't only when he said that this was his club that he wanted to say this to the fans. He acted inside with him not playing so much, but he was always doing what was in the best interest of the club. So he deserves a big compliment for that. I know everybody always talks about Mo and Virgil and the others if we win the league, but players like him were definitely also the reason why we could win it, because he always was positive, and if he had to play 5 or 10 minutes, he helped the team, and in every session he did. And that is partly the success of a team, that the ones that don't play that much have the right mindset. And I think he's completely ready now to show the quality he has at Aston Villa.
Arne, when you look at what Isak brings to the club, aligned with Mo and Ekitike and Wirtz and Gakpo, do you feel now you've got a core and variety in your squad to change games should you need to?
Yes, I do feel, but if the question is that the first time since you're a Liverpool manager, then the answer is no, because last season I could change games around with Diogo, with Darwin, with Lucio, with those three players that are not one for the reasons we all know, the other two that were sold. So yeah, that is what a club like Liverpool, what Jurgen probably could do in the past as well. This is normal at our club, that we have multiple options and that we can change the game if necessary.
And looking ahead to this weekend, granted, players are just coming back from international duty. Do you have a relatively clean bill of health? How are you shaping up for this weekend?
If the players are fit, that's I think they are. We trained today for the first time with them, with most of them. The non-internationals did train with the under-21s this week already. Curtis Jones, of course, I don't know if you knew, but he got injured in the last game, so he will not be available for the game against Burnley. But I think the rest of them all came back without a problem, and that is almost that's not always the situation, especially not in the beginning of the season, where everybody comes from a different background, going to the national team where they then all of a sudden have to play 2 games in 4 or 5 days, which is always the biggest risk in November and October, and in March they are much more used to that program. So we're happy that they are fit, and again, a compliment not only for the Swedish manager but also for the others, because a few others like Ryan Gravenberg didn't only started 1 game and not both of them.
And in terms of Burnley, obviously they got promoted last season. Scott Parker's developed a team with a reputation for being defensively solid. What do you expect this weekend? How will you need to approach it?
Defensively solid, but I don't give them enough credit if I only talk about that, because first goal they scored against Sunderland was a great team goal. Good team. But yeah, like all the others, we know. My experience from last season is when the teams that were relegated now, so I replaced them for the ones that promoted. We had problems at Ipswich, we had problems at Leicester, and we had problems at Southampton, and problems with we only won it in the end phase of the game, so yeah, there's we know that every game is difficult, and I only have to look back at last season to understand that. Thank you.
Arne, we're obviously very familiar with what Alexander Isak can do on the pitch, but from your interactions with him, what do you make of his characteristics as a person? At Newcastle, he seemed very, all business and able to kind of separate the emotion in a really kind of focused way. Do you think that's maybe even helped him across the summer, and is that anything that you see?
Yeah, maybe people don't believe me if I give you this answer, but I haven't spoken to him that much. So I spoke to him after he signed by phone because he had to go to the national team. And the way I 99 out of 100 time treat my players during international breaks is I leave them for the manager that they are working with over there. So I text him maybe now once or twice because he's new to us, wanted to know how he did. But I do have to get to know him as a person much better in the upcoming days and weeks. But although we find it very important how someone is to because we have such a great culture here at this club, we mainly sign a player also for his qualities, and therefore I don't need to call him. We faced him a few times. I faced him a few times, and I know what a quality player he is.
Arne Slot plans to ease Alexander Isak in gently at Liverpool and has no problem with how he conducted himself as he pushed for a Newcastle exit. Eddie Howe admits Isak will be irreplaceable as he has his say on how the striker handled the move.
I think the moment that he went on strike, our relationship did change. And yeah, I think that was probably a turning point that our relationship took.
The kick-off this morning with the champions. We heard from Arne Slot live on Sky Sports Breakfast a little earlier. Like much of the summer, Alexander Isak was at the top of the agenda, but this time Slot was talking about the striker as a Liverpool player. He's told Liverpool fans not to expect to see the record signing start against Burnley, though, and says he's got no problem with the way he behaved in trying to get his move from Newcastle.
We needed an attacking player extra, and so happy that we could bring in the one we wanted from the start. Sometimes people cheer for you, so I think after he won the League Cup, everyone was really happy with him. And in other moments, you get criticized. This is part of his life, my life, our jobs. But although we find it very important how someone is to because we have such a great culture here at this club, we mainly sign a player also for his qualities, and don't expect him to be every single game 90 minutes on the pitch. That's definitely not going to happen in the upcoming weeks.
We'll get to Isak in a moment, but elsewhere in the news conference, Slot confirmed he still wants to sign Marc Guehi. Now, Jay Bothroyd, good morning to you. Morning. With Marc Guehi first, a move to Liverpool in January would surely suit Liverpool better because they fend off all the potential opposition of foreign clubs that could get him on a pre-contract agreement in January. And of course, for Palace, it means they'd get money rather than lose him for free.
No, exactly. But that doesn't mean that these bigger clubs around the world are going to be talking to his management. I mean, we see a situation last season with Trent. Obviously, you know, Real Madrid didn't end up paying money because they wanted to get him early for the Club World Cup, but ultimately he was going to leave on a free. And if clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich are there saying, you know, if he waits at Palace until the end of the season and then he can go on a free, maybe that might, you know, turn him on. But I think ultimately with Guehi, he's a first choice centre back for England. He's a top player. He showed his consistency. He showed his professionalism. And obviously he wants to play on the biggest stage, and he's done fantastic for Palace, but now he wants to go and win things. And I think
he won the
his
FA
performance,
Cup.
yeah, I mean, yes, he has. But I think he wants to go and play in the Champions League, play for the biggest clubs, because he deserves it. He's that good. And he'd be cheap or potentially free. Exactly.
So with Alexander Isak, all right, which was what Arne Slot was talking about there, now that Liverpool have got him, have Liverpool now got one of the best attacks in Premier League history? They play with three up front. Do it as a three rather than a two, because if you think about York and Cole, Quinn and Phillips, they're twos. They play with a three.
I mean, I've got down here, you know, obviously Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez. That would be my best three. I mean, they're all like in their prime. They were all performing. They're all working hard. They play for a great team. Then I would go, I mean, you could even argue right now, Firmino, Mane and Salah is better than the Liverpool front three now, based upon what they've done. They was all really successful. I'm assuming we'd put the Liverpool front three of Salah, Isak, Ekitike. Is that what we're saying, or is Gakpo in ahead of one of them? I mean, listen, if this what we think will be the starting front three when they're all fit, Ekitike, Isak and Salah. If it gels, then yeah, there's potential. But right now, I have to say that Mane, Firmino and Salah was, Liverpool's best front three. But they will definitely go in there second. And then Robben, Duff and Drogba, I would say, would be my third. But, I mean, listen, they're all great front threes. I mean, Liverpool's front three now is... I think the thing is that front three there, I actually think Isak's gone in there and he's the main player. It's not Salah no more, it's Isak. And Isak is obviously going to stay there for many years now, but I think when you look at them all on paper, Isak's definitely the most talented. He's the best player, he's the best number 9 in the world. I'm
going to throw in Aguero, Sane and Sterling from Manchester City as well.
They weren't bad. They weren't bad.
They're pretty good. Let's get a fan's perspective now. And Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their clubs. If you want to represent your club, you can. Scan that QR code or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We can speak to Liverpool fan Abigail Rudkin now. Good morning, Abigail. Great to see you again. On that debate there of the best front three in the Premier League, where do you stand on that? Because Jay says it's not even Liverpool's best front three in the Premier League.
I don't think it's Liverpool's best front three yet. We can't decide that yet. We don't know how well they're going to play together. Obviously, Isak is world class. Mo Salah's world class. I think it's a bit sly on Gakpo to sort of all of a sudden be like, right, Ekitike straight away is going to start on that left side.
I did mention him.
I think it's a bit unfair on him. I think he was sort of in Diaz's shadow for the last few years. I think Diaz, with like his spark and things like that, I think with his creativity, it sort of put Gakpo as second. But I think now, this season, I think he's already shown that he is good quality enough to be...
Gakpo wasn't playing well though. Until last year, Gakpo wasn't really performing. Last year was his best year and he really proved it. But that was his first year where you can say, yeah, he was really good on the left-hand side.
Well, exactly. So he's proved it. So now all of a sudden we're saying Ekitike is going to come in and remove him from that left-hand side. And personally, Ekitike's best position is where Isak's going to play. So I think we're in a bit of a situation now where I do feel a little bit sorry for Ekitike. It does feel as though this might be a situation that he didn't want to be in. But for me, Firmino, Mane and Salah will always be the front three. So they'll always be the best.
Do you think that Slot could change his formation and play Wirtz and then Salah and Isak up front, or Ekitike and Salah, or Ekitike and Isak?
What formation is that?
Well, what do you mean? I would bring them in as a free, but you play Wirtz and then the two up front in behind.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's the formation. You're right with that, Tom.
I'm still a little bit confused. Like you said, a lot of names there. So hold on.
Yeah, but I mean, we see Salah play up front a few games. He played up front against Arsenal.
Where would Isak go?
Huh?
Where would Isak go?
Up front, as a 2.
Oh, with Salah?
Yeah, as a 2, yeah. So as in change of formation, instead of the 3 up front, bring him in, play 2 and then 1 in the hole.
So then there'd be no Gakpo or Ekitike?
Well, to be perfectly honest,
you're causing problems, not solving them here, Jay.
At the moment, Wirtz is not really performing, and there's a shout that, I mean, Salah could play as that kind of number 10 in there, or Isak, or Ekitike. We don't know, but ultimately, you can't fit 4 players in 3 positions.
You're confusing me. That's not to get me confused. I don't think that makes any sense.
You're not the only one who's confused.
What's confusing about
that? I can't make any sense of it whatsoever.
No? Right,
sense of it whatsoever.
That's not the way Arne Slot wants to play. I
know, but when you've got that kind of quality, you might have to change to fit them in.
Yeah, and I think obviously this is a real change for Liverpool, and I think it's going to take time for us to work out where everyone fits in perfectly. I think it might be too much change slightly, but at the end of the day, how lucky are we that we've got these high quality players? But that's getting me a little bit confused. I think, to be honest, it'll be a front three for me. I think that's the way Slot likes to play.
When do you expect to see Isak for the first time? He's very unlikely to. In fact, Slot said he won't be starting at the weekend, but do you still expect to see him at the weekend?
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll see him. I think he'll come on. I think it's just this sort of excitement around him. I think Slot will want to bring him on and sort of try and integrate him as early as possible. I do feel sorry for Ekitike in that way. Like I've said, it does feel as though he's sort of being displaced straight away, in my opinion. I think we will sort of see Gakpo, Isak, Salah going further throughout the season, but I think for Burnley we'll still see Ekitike there.
I think it's whoever's in form, to be honest. I don't necessarily think, that there is a a first choice 3, I mean, I definitely would say Salah and Isak are going to be the ones that will start more often than not when they're all fit. But ultimately, I think when it comes to Ekitike and Gakpo, I feel like that's going to be the rotation more often than not.
Well, I think we need to fight on all fronts anyway. We want to try and go for the Champions League this season. We want to try and get the cups. You know, we had a bit of disappointment at Wembley last season. We're going to want to be playing in all these competitions and go as far as we can.
Are you favourites in the Champions League?
Squad. Yeah.
Are you favourites in the Champions League, yeah?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So we're the best quality.
Is that the buyer's head on, or is that real?
No, that's real. I've seen that recently, and in my head as well, we're favourites. When I'm looking at the squads around Europe, I think we are the best squad.
So if you're the best in the Premier League, that means that's Premier League, FA Cup and League Cup, and best in Europe makes Champions League. So is it realistic to say you can win the quadruple?
I think the word quadruple gets used against Liverpool fans often. I think it's used in the media to sort of try and make us feel disappointed when we only get the league title. Last season, that was all we heard was, they're only going to win the league, they're only getting the league, as if it's some big disappointment that Arne Slot's come in his first season and won the Premier League when there was players' contracts running down. You know, he didn't hardly sign anyone except Chiesa. Mamardashvili didn't even come in yet. So I think the word quadruple just gets used against Liverpool fans to put this pressure on us, and maybe we can go and win everything. We've got a brilliant squad, and Isak said himself, win everything. But I think it's a word that gets put on Liverpool fans because we come so close in 2022, and I think it's just one of those things that the media like to use it and say, right, Liverpool have got to win the quadruple.
Don't
now.
blame the media.
To be honest, to be honest, I mean, like you said, now Liverpool have the best squad. So there is pressure on them. They can't just go and win the Premier League now. They have to go and do at least a double. But in terms of a quadruple, Tom, I mean, it's no disrespect to the League Cup, but ultimately I think the bigger teams like Liverpool, like Man City, Arsenal, will play their squad players in that competition, and even some young players.
Liverpool got to the final.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't. I don't think they go out there and say, you know, that's. Again, I don't want to be disrespectful to the competition, but it's not a competition they will look at winning when they look at the season. They want to win all games, but I just don't think that is a main competition for them.
Yeah, but you won't find a disappointed Liverpool fan if we've won the league at the end of the season. And that's all we've won.
League Cup. If you just win the League Cup, are you happy with that?
No.
Okay, are you happy with the League Cup and the FA Cup?
No, not really, no.
That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't really...
that's fair enough. No, that is fair enough. But at the end of the day, it's still silverware that Arne Slot's coming in and he's going to want to win. He's going to want to win everything that there is to win, like Jürgen did. So I don't think you'll see any disappointment.
Who's a better manager, Jürgen or Slot?
I think it's too soon to be having those conversations. We've all still got that soft spot for Jürgen.
But Jürgen won one league in 9 years?
Yeah, but we were coming up against that Man City team.
I keep hearing about all these buts and buts.
Man City.
Yeah, but it's still one league in 9 years. I like Slot. I think Slot is great for Liverpool. I think Liverpool are going to be consistently winning things for the next 5 years at least.
But he's got money backing him now. FSG didn't back Jürgen in the way that Arne's being backed. If I was Jürgen Klopp right now and I was looking at the amount of money that Arne Slot's been given, I would be fuming, to be honest. So I think you've got to have those conversations around spending and stuff. Jürgen did what he did as an underdog, you know, coming up against Man City. Arne Slot's doing it now where Man City aren't in the best position. We're coming up against Arsenal who just can't seem to do it. So I don't see why...
you say that though, you say that, but ultimately Jürgen Slot, Jürgen Slot.
he'd be your perfect manager, wouldn't he?
That would be the perfect manager, a blend of both. But, you know, Slot is basically working with Jürgen's squad apart from Chiesa. And he made that team successful.
Last season,
last
season. But we've won the first 3 games. We've got 9 out of 9 points right now with this new squad, and we haven't even put Isak in there yet. So what's going to happen? You know, I can only see us getting better.
Time will tell. Abigail, great to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Abigail.
Thanks.
Now, it feels like a new era at Newcastle United. The Alexander Isak saga is finally behind them. He's left for Liverpool, as we've been saying. They face Wolves this weekend at home, but will be without deadline day signing Johan Wissa, who is out with an injury. Earlier, Eddie Howe reflected on the Isak saga.
I think the moment that he went on strike, our relationship did change. And I think that was probably a turning point that our relationship took.
Changed in what way, and have you spoken since, and would you like to repair that one day? Just tell us about that change if you can.
Yeah, no, I just think, obviously communication became difficult from that point onwards. I won't go into it any more than that.
Right, okay, so Eddie Howe there, Jay, talking about Alexander Isak. The saga is now over. Is there anything that either Isak or the club could have done differently this summer, do you think?
I mean, obviously, I don't think Isak should have gone on strike. I always think that you still should remain professional and go and train and be there and be part of the squad. A bit like Guehi, to be honest. And I think Guehi handled himself first class. But ultimately, Isak is trying to push that move. And I think I like the fact now that players have a bit more power, because if a club doesn't want a player, they're basically pushing them out the door. Making him train by themselves. I mean, look at the situation with Sterling. They don't want him. They're making him train by himself. They're doing all sorts of things to him. So I like the fact that the players have got a little bit more power now. And I like what Slot said. Slot wasn't upset the way Isak handled his stuff, because ultimately he got the player he wanted. Isak got the move that he wanted, and Newcastle got money. I think that Newcastle should have probably just made it happen sooner. I know they're trying to keep, arguably, in my opinion, well, he's the best number 9 in the world right now. But if he wants to leave, just take the money early, then you can do your business early.
Right, well, let's get to the most neutral presenter-reporter that we've got in Pete Graves, who was at the Newcastle United news conference there. Pete, Eddie Howe spoke a bit about Isak in the news conference. At one point, he described him as irreplaceable. It probably might not go down too well with his 2 new strikers. But what was your feeling being there?
Keep it objective, Pete.
Oh, well, listen, I love the way you're talking about neutral. And when you talked about the greatest front 2s ever, you went York and Cole, followed by Phillips and Quinn.
I actually didn't even put them in order.
As me.
If I'd put them in order, I would have flipped them round.
You're just as bad as me, buddy. You know it. Look, first of all, it was a big news conference here. Some big lines came out of it. I actually loved listening to Abigail there as well, the Liverpool fan who spoke brilliantly. And I do feel really sorry for the Liverpool fans when everyone talks about the quadruple. That must be awful. I mean, I hate it when that happens to me. But no, she was absolutely fantastic. Big news here. Of course, what was fascinating about the news conference, guys, was that actually no one said the name Alexander Isak for ages. It was almost like no one was actually going to say his name in the news conference. All the reporters asking questions. His actual name didn't actually come out in the conference until about 20 minutes in. It was almost like everyone was didn't want to say it anymore. They're probably sick to the teeth of saying that name over and over again. But yeah, he's gone, and Eddie Howe very keen to move forward. But of course, Johan Wissa came in on deadline day as the new number 9 in the bombshell announcement that he has actually picked up an injury on international duty and isn't available for what is a huge game against Wolves tomorrow. So that's a huge blow for him, and it puts a little bit of a decision into Eddie Howe's hands. They've got Nick Woltemade, a record signing, but he's a young player, and although he's just played for Germany in back-to-back games during this break, Eddie Howe usually likes to give his players, particularly the young ones, a bit of time to bed in, and all of a sudden he's got a big decision to make. Does he chuck in Woltemade in front of a packed St James's Park against Wolves on Saturday and hope that he goes out there and performs? Or does he stick with another young player, Will Asula, who led the line at Elland Road and really failed to get any chances or have much to feed on in front of goal? So big decision already for Eddie Howe. Also came out as well, didn't it, that Jacob Ramsey, who came off against Leeds, is going to be out for a long period of time as well, it would seem, till the next international break. So there were some worrying injury notes from Eddie Howe, and I'd be fascinated. I know you encourage fans to get the voice notes sent in. I think a lot of Newcastle fans are going to have a lot to say today, so I'd encourage any Newcastle fans watching to send a voice note in.
There's been a few messages. One myself, actually. There's been a few messages at the bottom actually saying how excited they are to see Woltemade, so maybe he does start there as well. Newcastle at the moment, I know they've only got 2 points, but there have been mitigating circumstances to that, and they certainly, that was quite a performance against Liverpool despite that late goal. However, it's all been on the basis that Newcastle got Wolves at home coming up. What happens if you don't beat Wolves at home?
Well, you know, as Eddie Howe walked out, a couple of the news journalists there was a sort of deflated feeling, I think, a little bit in that Wissa being out is big news, and I don't think there'd be any panic here. But of course, I instantly thought about the other striker Newcastle were trying to sign in the window, which was Strand Larsen, who of course could play for Wolves. And you instantly think, goodness me, I think, Isak's gone, Wissa's now not available. They've got a fit and ready Strand Larsen potentially, who's looked really impressive this season. And the worst scenario for Newcastle fans would be that Wolves were able to get a result here, and that Strand Larsen has an unbelievable game. I think that would be sort of the worst case scenario for Eddie Howe and for Newcastle fans. But you said it there, mate. I think they do only have 2 points on the board, but the performances have been pretty good. So if they don't win against Wolves, there won't be any panic up here. I think the fans, they're very knowledgeable in this part of the world. They've seen what Newcastle are doing on the pitch. They went to Aston Villa, played really, really well, but couldn't get a goal. Drew 0-0. Why? They had no striker. They then played against Liverpool, as you said, and ended up losing 3-2 with 10 players, but put in a remarkable performance and really deserved something from that game. And then they went to Leeds, and similarly to Villa, played pretty well, although Leeds did well as well. Probably a point, the fair result there. But again, the lack of striker really, or main striker, was the key problem. So they would have loved to have had Johan Wissa available. He is the new number 9, just to chuck him in and have that experience, someone who scored goals in the Premier League. But it's looking like it may have to be the 6'6" German record signing Nick Woltermader, who probably would have been on the bench but might just get the start on Saturday. I did ask Eddie Howe. He said, look, if he's ready, we'll throw him in. But he was also keen to stress that the fans are going to have to be patient, and he's a young player and it could take a bit of time to adjust to the Premier League. So it makes it a fascinating occasion. The fans here are all looking forward to it, and it's going to be packed to the rafters. But that Wissa injury is a huge blow.
Well, I know you'll enjoy your day out anyway, Pete. Thank you.
Thanks.
We start, though, with Arne Slot, who's described the collapse of Marc Guehi's transfer from Crystal Palace to Liverpool as a pity for the player and the club. The Liverpool manager hasn't ruled out going back in for the central defender in January, but was insistent that they have enough cover in that position. Well, let's get more. Vinny O'Connor was asking the questions at Slot's news conference this morning. Joins us now. Vinny, good afternoon to you. Just how disappointed was Slot today then?
Yeah, certainly got the impression that there was disappointment that Marc Guehi is not a Liverpool player. At the same time as well, I think the underlying feeling here at Liverpool is, given that they had the player all lined up for a medical, that deal was there and effectively agreed with Crystal Palace, then they're not necessarily going to walk away from that. And that's where the interest in Marc Guehi is still there. Of course, there is the added complication that he is into the final year of his Crystal Palace contract. So when it comes to January, he can, of course, speak to foreign clubs. And of course, there's the opportunity to move for a free at the end of the season when it comes to next summer as well. At the same time, I think Liverpool will be pretty confident about their own position because of the interest that they've already shown in Marc Guehi, having that deal all drawn up, and the fact that Marc Guehi wanted to join them. At the same time, of course, they do have a number of centre-halves here. And of course, if they were to add Marc Guehi to that, it really does strengthen them. I think there's still a hope here at Liverpool as well that someone like Ibrahima Konate will commit his future beyond this season as well. Certainly in terms of the negotiations there, that's not dead either, and the fact that Ibrahima Konate could extend his contract. So yes, there is disappointment that Marc Guehi has not been able to join the football club and add to the number of centre-halves that they have here. At the same time, I think from Arne Slot's point of view, it was very much, we'll wait and see now what happens over the next 12 months.
A bit ridiculous if I'm going to deny that we were close to signing him. That is so out in the open that would be ridiculous. These things happen in football. It happened to our players maybe in the past as well, that they thought they were so close on signing somewhere else, and then in the last moment things changed. And this can happen. And for me, we would have liked to sign him, of course, because we were in for him, and he was, like I've said many times, if we can feel we can strengthen the team with a chance in the market, we never hesitate to do so, and that's what we try to do. It's not like all of a sudden we don't have options in that position anymore. It's a pity, but not only for us but also for the player, I think. But he's in a good place playing at Palace, where he won the Charity Shield and the FA Cup with a very good manager as well. So let's see what the future brings for him and for us.
Just to push it though, would you be thinking January or next summer?
If I'm thinking anything, you know that what I think, I don't tell you, but the thing I think most about is Burnley at the moment, I can assure you.
And Vinny, Liverpool, of course, did get a deal over the line on deadline day, the biggest in the history of British football, with Alexander Isak's saga finally concluding with that move to Anfield from Newcastle for £125 million. Did Slot give any indication as to whether Isak will make his debut at Burnley?
I think what he did give us, Joe, is the bottom line. He's going to have to be careful with Alexander Isak. In terms of fitness, he is a bit behind, of course, the rest of the Liverpool first team squad because of the way things went at Newcastle United as well. And Liverpool have got a very congested fixture list coming up over the next month or so when you consider that they're playing Saturday and midweek all the way up until the next international break in October. So it is, of course, Burnley at the weekend, followed by Atletico Madrid in the Champions League on Wednesday night. Then it's the Merseyside derby next Saturday, Southampton in the League Cup the following Tuesday before Palace away the Saturday after that. Then it's Galatasaray away in the Champions League before it's Chelsea away. That game takes them into the international break. And of course, Alexander Isak only got his first minutes of the season when he was away on international duty. That was on Monday night for Sweden against Kosovo, of course. And he's had little or no pre-season in terms of training with that Newcastle group before joining Liverpool as well. Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, the bottom line from Arne Slot is when it comes to introducing him into that Liverpool first team setup, he wants a bit of patience from the Liverpool fans because they really have to manage Alexander Isak's minutes.
The Swedish manager Jon Dahl Tomasson deserves a big compliment because he gets one of the best, maybe the best striker in the world in, and needs to play two very important games for his country, but understands that if he would play him twice 90 minutes, then probably the player would have been injured for multiple weeks. And that's not always easy for a manager, that he takes care of the interest of a player. And so he deserves a big compliment for that. And we will treat Alex the same as they did. So don't expect him to be every single game 90 minutes on the pitch. That's definitely not going to happen. So that's going to be a challenge. But we've signed him not only for the upcoming 2 weeks, we've signed him for I think for 6 years. So yeah, this is what we have to keep in mind.
And the criticism you receive?
In football, there's always criticism. So sometimes people cheer for you. So I think after he won the League Cup, everyone was really happy with him. And in other moments, you get criticized. This is part of his life, my life, our jobs. And now he's a player from us, and I'm really happy with that.
So we're not going to see him for 90 minutes on Super Sunday against Burnley, but there is a chance we will see Liverpool's new number 9. Remember, he only had his first training session with his new Liverpool teammates on Wednesday. One definite absentee, it seems, though, will be Curtis Jones. A groin problem will keep him out of that game against Burnley.
Now, Newcastle fans weren't happy with the way Alexander Isak tried to force the move to Liverpool over the summer, but Arne Slot says he's no concerns about the striker's attitudes.
In football, there's always criticism. So sometimes people cheer for you. So I think after he won the League Cup, everyone was really happy with him. And in other moments, you get criticized. This is part of his life, my life, our jobs. Yeah, maybe people don't believe me if I give you this answer, but I haven't spoken to him that much. So I spoke to him after he signed by phone because he had to go to the national team. And the way I 99 out of 100 times treat my players during international breaks is I leave them for the manager that they are working with over there. So I text him maybe now once or twice because he's new to us, wanted to know how he did. But I do have to get to know him as a person much better in the upcoming days and weeks. But although we find it very important how someone is to because we have such a great culture here at this club, we mainly sign a player also for his qualities, and therefore I don't need to call him. We faced him a few times. I faced him a few times, and I know what a quality player he is.